Wetlands Commission meeting for the town of Monroe. It is December 13th, 2023. The time is 7:29 p.m. Will everyone please stand to recite the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Try it. Manage. Smart. All set. Apologize, folks. All right. I'll take roll call. The members of the commission and staff present during tonight's hybrid meeting, please answer here. Present, starting myself, Keith Romano, the chairman, Eric Lindstrom, vice chairman. Here. Ryan Kelly, secretary. Here. Rick Smith to my left. Here. Jim Stewart, who's a licensed engineer and surveyor in the state of Connecticut. Cheryl Valerie, our planning and zoning inland wetlands enforcement officer. Present. And Sarah Stroud, recording secretary. Here. Great. Before we start, I'll read our mission statement and how the meeting will proceed. Inland Wetlands mission statement. The objective and purpose of the Inland Wetlands Commission is to provide for the overall protection and preservation of the inland wetlands and water courses within the town of Monroe. Meeting procedure. Please note that this meeting is being conducted utilizing electronic equipment in compliance with State Law Public Act 21-1. As such, this meeting is being recorded and will be available to the public in compliance with state law. If you are attending remotely, please remember to mute your microphone unless speaking. Anyone participating remotely shall state their name and title, if applicable, at the outset of each occasion that such person is speaking. All votes taken during which any member of this body are participating remotely shall be taken by roll call unless the vote is unanimous. The chat feature will not be utilized nor considered during this meeting. The normal course of our meetings, we will hear public hearings and other applications. The protocol for public hearings is to have an applicant make a presentation to the commission during which after which the commission may be asking the applicant questions. I ask that all applicants keep their presentation as concise as possible. The commission will then review town, staff, and other independent comments. The meeting will then be open for public comment. I will ask that all comments be made to the chair or commission. After any and all comments pro, in opposition, or of a general nature are made, the applicant will be given an opportunity to respond. Please keep comments or questions direct, or a time limit of 3 minutes may be imposed. It's not necessary that the applicant respond, but generally in their best interest to do so. There will be no further opportunity for new questions unless new material is entered in as evidence or testimony during their response. Please keep all comments pro and con specific to inland wetlands related matters. Other applications that do not involve a public hearing will follow a similar format with the exception that there will be no public comments allowed. The meeting follows our published agenda unless otherwise amended. Are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Under general discussion, we're going to add by 2/3 vote, 44 Oakmont Trail, driveway maintenance work discussion. And then a new subsection for subdivision referrals for 127 Main Street, previously approved permit IWC-2023-10, file number 1464, subdivision referral for an 8-lot subdivision.
Where does that go? I'm sorry, where's that one going to go?
We're going to, I suggest right above public hearing.
This is for file 1463?
1464.
Which is?
Which is 127 Main Street.
Oh, 127.
It's going to be under, right after 5 Victoria, right after the regulated activities application acceptance, a heading of subdivision referral for 127 Main Street, Pondview. Those are the only changes.
We're doing this under A.
Yes.
I move that we add the items to the agenda.
There a motion to add the items to the agenda from Commissioner Stewart? Second. Sorry, second from Commissioner Lindstrom. All in favor? Okay. I'm trying to get these down. All right.
I would just add, Mr. Chairman, that our town engineer, James DeMeo, is joining us by Zoom.
All right. All right. This is old. We already introduced you. All right. This is now the part of the meeting which we call general General public participation, a period of time reserved for the public to make any comments either online or in person, present to the commission. Please raise your hand if you're going to speak to us tonight during general public participation. All right, go ahead, one at a time, whoever. Buddy. Excuse me just for 1 second.
Sure.
Hi, Barbara. Oops. All right, go ahead. Say your name and address for the record.
Good evening, members of the Inland Wetlands Commission. My name is Joel Lineker. I reside at 70 Huntingtown Road in the town of Monroe. This morning I left my house and noticed that there was a huge excavator, 2 large dump trucks, all owned by the town of Monroe, that were proceeding to remove portions or debris around a beaver dam that maintains right now the current level of Gusky's Pond. I have a couple of questions, and I realize that you do not need to answer those questions, but I would like to put the questions into the public record, and then I would like a recommendation as to who I speak to about these questions.
Could I start by just giving you the answer to that last question first?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I have a statement prepared. Okay. So we have granted the town of Monroe Public Works Department a permit to do maintenance on water courses and wetlands within the town. This project falls under that permit. And as a commission, we do not follow up on active permits unless there's been a violation. Okay, so we want to thank you for coming out and being concerned about this with the Gusky Pond project. Please contact James DeMayo, our town engineer, to set up an appointment to discuss your concerns with him.
Very good.
You can continue to speak. You're free to do so, but that is our response as a commission.
Fine. Okay. So the questions I have, and this will be for, I believe, Jim, now that you've made it clear, is will you please tell me the scope of the Gusky Pond project? Does the project require a DEEP permit? What is the life of a DEEP permit? Because I believe the town is saying that you already had a permit, a previous permit, that you're acting underneath that permit. My discussions with DEEP last week is that their permit for any wildlife impact is 1 year. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I've been given. Is the commission required to contact abutting property owners for any work done within water courses? As planning and zoning is required to let abutting property owners that may have their property affected by the action.
I can answer that for you. That's simple. The applicant is responsible for notifying the neighbors. And the applicant here is the town of Monroe.
And so I received no notification. So I assume that the town did not follow that process in sending out written notification for the project.
It's determined as a significant activity.
Well, I think we're talking about the granting of the maintenance permit that we issued, I think, earlier this year.
It was a few months ago, yeah.
So that's a town-wide notification because that encompasses the whole entire town. So you're talking about a permit that we gave the town, a full encompassing of the whole entire town to do these activities. So I don't know none of us is going to know what the notification requirement was for granting the town that, and I believe it's a 5-year permit, right?
I think it's actually a 10-year permit.
10-year permit. So
It's a public.
that's all we could tell you at this moment on that.
Okay. How low will the pond be dropped? How many gallons or millions of gallons will you be running through my property and into Newtown?
Please continue.
If property owners around the pond are having failed septic systems, will they be required to replace them instead of dropping the water level? What is the impact of the habitat and its animals on the property? It's filled with turtles, Flora and fauna, that pond is probably 3 acres. You want to drop it 2 feet, because that's how high that dam is. That's a lot of water running through the property. Now, a backstory for you.
So if it's not related to this matter,
It is related to this matter.
it's a wetlands issue?
It is a wetlands issue,
Okay, please continue.
okay? So when the houses were built on Huntingtown Road, on that piece of property on Gusky's Pond, the developer filled up the retaining pool at the bottom where there was a sluway that regulated constant flow for the entire year. That sluway got plugged up, the water level raised 4 to 5 feet, went over top of a road that was an access road back to that property, which has now wiped out all of that road completely, and all of that erosion ended up in my pond down the road. In addition, on my property, there was a bridge. And if you look at your inland waterland maps, you're going to see the dimensions of my property or my pond, and you're going to also see that there was a bridge demarcated there. There is no more bridge left. The pond has completely been wiped out and filled in with silt from above. Now, I realize this happened probably 25 years ago. I complained to planning and zoning, nobody did anything about it. Whether you want to take this up or not, my suggestion is that if we're going to lower the pond water back to the way it was 25 years ago, that you fix the access road, you put the sluway back in, you dredge my pond, and you put the bridge back to the way it was, because it was because of malfeasance on the part of the town of Monroe that caused this problem. I would also recommend that the properties, if there are failed septic systems, that those systems be re-engineered, rebuilt at the cost of the property owner or the town, whichever they wish, because we all know that climate change has changed the levels of amount of water that we receive and the courses of how large some of these water courses are today. And my last question I already asked was, how much water will you release at a time? Are you dropping this a foot at a time, 8 inches at a time? Are you going on the side of the beaver dam? What happens to the beavers? I know they're no longer protected. I know we typically trap and drown them at this point in time. I don't know what the status is with DEEP on this, but this is not a small project. This is a large project, and people downstream have rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to get up?
My name is Tim Courier. I live in Newtown.
Address, please.
Pardon me?
Address, please.
197 Huntingtown Road. A few years ago, this work that you are doing now was done before. And you caused so much damage to my property. And I asked you to come down and look at it, deal with it, and not one person from this town came down. Not one person. Thousands of dollars of damage because you just recklessly opened up that dam and dumped so much water through that river with no regard to those downstream. Why are you doing this?
Well, let me just clarify something for you. We are all volunteers, residents of the town. We're not town employees. We don't make decisions about public works matters. It sounds like you should direct your inquiry to our town engineer, James DeMayo. You can call up and make an appointment with him, discuss your concerns. We don't do these actions. So yeah, you kind of pointed your finger at us. I think you mean you as in the town of Monroe, but we have nothing to do with this. We gave a permit out for 10 years, blanket permit for all the maintenance for the town of Monroe. They have a licensed engineer that's on staff who has to do everything by whatever the code, if you want, whatever code there is. And there's other people on the staff that review processes Those are the people you need to speak with about your concerns.
But you've already started this project.
You're talking to the wrong group. There's nothing we can do about it.
This is not the wetlands.
This is wetlands, but you understand, we granted a permit to the town that allows them this to do these activities. Okay, so now it's in their hands. So our town engineer will be willing to meet with anybody with their concerns and go over it with them, but it's not going to happen here tonight. You have to make an appointment with him. He just highlighted himself. If he wants to address the public, James, at this time.
Yep.
Briefly.
Good evening, James DeMayo, town engineer. Yeah, for anybody there that would like to know more about this, if you, all of you have a pen and paper, my phone number, please give me a call tomorrow, Friday, whenever. We will go over this. Our priority is the safety of the properties, especially downgrading. That is one of my biggest concerns. So this is going to be a very, very slow process. But my phone number is 203-452-2814. So I'm in the Public Works Department. So if you call to write down my number, just call the Public Works Department and ask for me. And if I'm not there, I will be calling you back very, very quickly tomorrow. But I will gladly go over all of this with anybody and everybody. So everybody can be put at ease, because we are very, very concerned about everybody's property and how we're doing this.
Why did you give this permit?
It's because it's a state requirement, I guess, for them to get a permit from their own town to the town commission so they could do these activities. The permit's not specific. It's not here.
It's not a permit for this project. It's a public works permit to do maintenance in the town. So,
To do maintenance
this project,
and water courses, to maintain culverts, anything that has to do with water, groundwater, surface water. They have a blanket permit that allows them to do, it's a formality, really. All right, we weren't going to deny it. We weren't going to change anything. If the town engineer comes to us, it's a formality that's required for us to do. The rest of your questions, he'll be happy to answer you another time, when you make an appointment with him or call.
sir, I wrote his number down for you if you'd like it.
Thank you.
Call.
There you go.
Anyone else in the public want to come up and speak?
Mike Cerruti. I live on 57 Huntingtown Road. And I understand what you said, can't do anything tonight, but I'd like you to pass on a simple request. If you're gonna drain that pond, first of all, I'm against it, but if you're gonna do it anyway, I'm requesting that you dredge out all the mud. Whenever I go out on the ice skating, I look through the ice and I see 3 inches of water. The rest of it is all mud. I would think whatever you do, how much you drain it or don't drain it, I would request that you dredge all that mud out. I would think a landscaper would be delighted to purchase it. When it dries out, it would be good topsoil. But that's just my request. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Brian McCarter, homeowner at 44 Bridle Path Trail. We have an application in for wetlands permit for an addition that will house.
Hold on, you have an application in?
Yeah.
Then you can't speak now.
Unless it's about just regular information for the town, but you're on the agenda a little later.
I know what the protocol was, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think I usually say that, and I think I missed it. Okay, so anybody else in the public that would like to speak to us, whether online or in chambers? General nature? Okay. Great, thank you. Give my agenda. And now to regulated activities, application acceptance, regular hearings, hearing determination of type of hearing. We have IWC 2023-05A1, file 1447, 5 Victoria Drive. Modify a permit to install turf field instead of grass as approved. R. Nunez, Ole 2 LLC, owner applicant, Foley engineer, LLC representative.
Good evening, members of the commission. For the record, Luke Morrow with Solar Engineering, office on Main Street, New York, Connecticut. So we're here tonight just, I believe, for just an acceptance, or perhaps getting a determination as to whether or not this needs to go before the commission, or if it can be done through an administrative agent approval. So I believe there was a permit issued for Orley Soccer to expand their field. I believe it was approved back in August. They simply just want to change the material from a grass to a turf material. And simply, that's all the things that are required as a result of that. I believe it's been submitted and reviewed by the town engineer. I'm told he only had one comment to change some of the medium underneath the field for some sand, for some filtration reasons for the runoff. Yeah, as far as wetlands impacts goes, there's no additional disturbance other than the same proposed before. It's simply just a change from grass to turf.
So this was an expansion of a field, and this is about just switching from grass to turf?
Exactly. It was previously approved by you guys for an expanded field, and I believe we'll approved back in August.
And it has what does it have, like an additional runoff that is being attenuated?
Correct, so a slightly higher runoff coefficient, yeah.
So, can this be agent approval?
It's up to the commission.
I'm just, I wonder if that's an option versus actually having a hearing.
If you think it's minor, I mean, it could be an administrative change, or it could go to regular meeting and you accept it tonight and vote at the next meeting.
Anybody any discussion on that?
Yeah.
Good.
So the reason that you want to go to a turf field is so you modernize?
We're discussing this question. Let's just deal with the question right now.
Oh, well, I believe.
You can ask more questions
I
after.
believe that there are inland wetlands issues that I'd like to discuss, and I just wanted to get a little background before I mention the issues that I have.
Okay, but we're right now, Mike, the comment we're discussing is whether we think it could be an agent approval or it should be a meeting. So you have an opinion on that?
I don't believe it should be an agent. I believe it should come before this commission.
Anybody else?
Maybe minor, but I believe it should become.
That works for me.
So your recommendation is
Yeah, they come before the commission,
regular meeting or public?
a regular meeting.
I think regular is fine. Yeah.
Okay, so want to make so
Vote to accept it as a regular,
Okay.
regular meeting.
you accept this, right? We got a motion from Commissioner Smith for a regular meeting. Second. Second by Commissioner Lindstrom, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh.
14-6, so IWC 2023 dash, what is it?
Dash 10
Dash 10,
or 1464.
7 Main Street, property line modification, right?
So the property was, and you can present, but it's one lot and they're looking to make it 8 lots.
I don't know if you guys got those or not, so I was told to.
Pass them down.
I have to recuse on this. Or this is a determination, referral?
It's a subdivision referral. So if you're involved,
And, wait, let me leave.
it's on here, yeah. That's okay, it's fine.
Kevin, the record, Luke Morrow, with Solar Connecticut. You guys applied for she wasn't there, so I'll try to talk as fast as I can. So you, this is for the Fountain Project, 127 Main Street. Essentially, there was an approval granted by Wetlands in March 22nd, 2023. For the proposed development plan, as you see before you, that plan entailed basically a single lot. It was going to be kind of divided up condominium style. We have for the various septic systems and buildings that were required. Subsequent to that approval, we did receive sign off from planning and zoning, and then there were comments received from the state health department stating that they would not allow it to go through as a condo. It's going to require full subdivisions simply because of the septic. So they believe there's 8 septic systems. They want 8 separate lots. So back in, pardon me, I'm going through my notes here. So back in August, we received an approval for a regulation amendment to the subdivision regs to allow for lots as shown on here to be allowed per code in regards to not requiring normal lot frontages, lot sizes. You can see some of those are kind of oddly shaped. So they would be allowed per the subdivision regulations, so long as they were part of a special development district as a whole, which it is located in. So we're here before you tonight simply for a referral so that we can move forward with our planning and zoning approvals to just establish these lot lines in a condominium. There's no additional work within the wetlands area. There's no filling, there's no pavement, there's no anything except for subdivision lines to establish an 8-lot subdivision as requested by the city of Connecticut.
And they won't allow septics on.
I can, if we need to defer, Kevin's on can probably provide some more detail, but I believe initial discussions were that they would allow it as a condo, and then after, subsequent to the approval from the town for wetlands and planning and zoning, they came back and said we actually want them all in separate lots.
You want what?
They want them all in separate lots. So instead of a single condo,
Every separate.
yes.
So there's being one lot.
Every separate septic.
Yes, so every single one of those colors would be a separate lot. The regs have been amended. The subdivision regs and planning and zoning regs have been modified to allow such as shown in the plan now. So now we're going forward with our formal subdivision application to establish these lots. It requires for wetlands because of our wetlands on the property.
And nothing moved, no pipes moved, no locations of
The same,
anything, just added color.
exactly.
How does the maintenance of particularly the pond, retention ponds work?
I assume it has to be under a common fee. Are you talking about who would be in charge of maintaining it?
Yeah. I mean, that would be one of my concerns is that, you know, you have a problem in this pond and now you're going to have 3 different condo associations maintaining it unless there's a,
I think they typically
when theoretically they're all using the pond.
functioning as a condo, the common fee should go towards a pot where you would have to use, landscaping, snow removal or pond, whatever. It's still going to be a condo complex per se. However, it's going to be broken up into 8 separate lots because that's the way the state will allow for septic systems. But Kevin can chime in.
Yeah, excuse me. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Hi, good evening, members of the commission. For the record, Kevin Soley. Sorry, I wasn't able to be there in person and I got stuck somewhere. So I'm currently I just pulled over, but I'm commuting. But yeah, so I can certainly provide some clarity and certainly answer that question. So it's not it's not necessarily going to be a condominium in the sense that Luke was saying. Initially, we were anticipating that we were going to subdivide, or excuse me, we were going to condominiumize, and each building and septic system would be in its own condominium unit. And when we went to public health, they said, we'd like to see these actually subdivided on fee simple parcels. So that's what brings us here this evening. What's actually going to happen is each individual entity that owns an LLC is actually going to be held by a parent company. So there's going to be a coordinated effort and a single responsibility from an overall maintenance standpoint. The parent LLC, or the parent entity that owns all the sub entities, will be the one responsible for all of the maintenance, all of the snow removal, all of the maintenance for the stormwater basin. But then, just based on how the Department of Public Health wanted to see the lines broken out, this was the direction that they gave us, that they prefer to see this as, a fee simple subdivision rather than just through condominium units.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happens if one of these fields, for instance, on proposed apartment building 7, if that field fails and has problems, what's going to happen to the residents in apartment building 7?
So just as was proposed previously, the owner and the operator of the facility will be responsible to go in and make those necessary repairs. And each system is designed to provide not only the full system in accordance with the health code, but also a full reserve system. So that's, in the same instance, if there was a failure from a septic system standpoint, there's been adequate testing done to demonstrate that they can build a complete reserve system on the lot, and renovate as needed.
So those 28 units specific to like building 7, would they would be inconvenienced, maybe have to move out if the septic system fails because it can't be diverted?
No, I mean, that's no, not necessarily. I mean, just like if you live in a home and your system fails, you don't have to move out of your home. You have to repair your system. And generally speaking, there are, even in, there are a number of ways you can manage that by pumping the tanks while the leaching field is being repaired. And that actually happens quite a bit in a lot of different applications. There's definitely ways where those residents wouldn't be inconvenienced and have to leave, but the owner would have to, make the necessary repairs as needed to ensure that, everything could continue to operate in the same manner. And this is no different than how this project was approved previously. Again, nothing changes other than we're just simply drawing some lines on paper.
I understand that. I was not part of the previous approval. And honestly, as I look at the amount of primary septic leaching areas, as well as the reserve septic leaching areas, there's quite a few, some of which are underneath pavement, some of which are feet away from a water line. I got to tell you, I'm not understanding, Kevin, that this is what's good for the wetlands.
Well, again, everything's been designed in accordance with the public health code, and the testing has been completed. And this is part of that additional approval from the Department of Public Health. So there is additional, obviously scrutiny regarding the septic. And, again, this was previously approved. All this application is for simply creating the lines. But I can certainly understand your concern. Thankfully, this site has the benefit of very, very good septic sand. It's probably the best. It's probably really the only location, maybe not the only location, but it's the best soils in the town of Monroe from a suitability standpoint, from a septic suitability standpoint that I've seen.
Well, I'm an engineer and I'm looking at 197 apartments with probably 500 people living in them. And I know that you're on 17, 19 acres. I know the number of acres are wetlands, but I just, I think I have a problem, and I don't know what we're going to do to resolve it, because I am very concerned with the wetlands and the septic systems overflowing into or leaching into them. I just, I was an open pit mine engineer, and I'm familiar with leaching, And I see problems.
Let's ask, hey, James, you've obviously reviewed these plans. Do you have any other concerns from when we last reviewed these?
As Kevin kind of stated, or Mr. Soley and the other individual from Soley, in terms of a wetlands perspective and making a modification and coming in for a subdivision referral, I don't necessarily have a wetland concern. If that makes sense. So,
Yeah.
Can you speak to, some of the concerns that he brought up a couple minutes ago about, some of the proximity of the leaching fields? And currently, this plan does meet all state regulations and requirements.
So I'll be honest, at this point, the only thing that I reviewed was what was submitted for the subdivision referral. I have yet to see a plan that shows the improvements with the proposed property lines on it yet. I believe that that'll be coming after it gets through wetlands. So it's one of those things where I haven't seen the full proposed site plan at this time. It's, again, I've only been able to review for the subdivision referral.
So, yeah, so I can offer some commentary. And James, I'm not sure why you haven't seen that, we did submit all of those plans back in early November, including the plans that showed the property lines and the previously approved improvements. This project, as Luke indicated, was approved back in March. So that was before James' time here. At the time of those applications, for both wetlands and planning and zoning, the town engaged a third-party peer reviewer, another engineering firm, who did review our applications, and they went through a very rigorous review process during the approval of those projects, because that's when the commissions were considering the actual activity within the regulated areas and the proposed construction of the project. So all of those things, all of those elements have already been reviewed and approved, and there's valid approvals for that work and that activity. This application is simply for the creation of lot lines. This is simply a subdivision application. So actually the construction of those septic systems, those aren't really subject of this application. All of that work was already approved. There's a valid wetland permit and planning and zoning permit from the town of Monroe to proceed with that. This application is simply to create the lot lines. And again, I know, James, and I'm not sure why that didn't end up on your desk yet, because they were submitted. But again, the previous review was completed, before James got to town.
Yeah, and that's my view as well, is it already went through, like this property already has an active wetlands permit. From my understanding, they are not changing any improvements, just as Mr. Soley mentioned. Therefore, it shouldn't, the creation of the property lines shouldn't change much in the plan.
One other question. So I'm looking at it. I don't see any septic system related to the proposed clubhouse. I believe there's a pool and there would be bathrooms in there, perhaps washing machines. I don't know, but is that included in the septic? What's my concern to the commission is that if one field fails and we have a real problem with a couple hundred people at a time, I don't know how it gets managed. I understand.
How is that related to the subdivision aspect of it? I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want to.
They're subdividing it instead of having, saying, okay, well, if this field fails, then we'll go to these other fields.
Yeah, well, they couldn't do that anyway. They couldn't redirect the
Right.
There's another field because you overload it.
I apologize that I'm not familiar because I wasn't here initially, but I'm appalled at what I'm seeing, that we have this many people in this small a space with this much septic. And you can tell me what you want. I'm not an engineer that, is got capability to give him the approval on it. I just tell you that.
Well, we're not asking for approval on the septic system. We're asking for They're asking for approval on the subdivision. So
And
it's already gone through the engineers and the town's already approved it, and the state's already approved it.
I hope so.
So looking at it from is this, going to function for, this many people? It's already gone through all that. So now the question at hand is, are we okay with the fact that they're going to subdivide the property, given what's already been approved?
Can I, Mr. Solly, can I just ask, you've said this already, I think, but for the record, nothing in terms of the plan has been moved. This is all just about the lines. That's the only thing that's changing here.
That's correct. And I wanted to, and thank you for bringing that up. And yes, I wanted to point that out. The action before this commission is a referral for the subdivision of the property. And, the wetlands regulations and state statutes are very clear that when a property is to be subdivided and there's wetlands on that property, the Wetlands Commission is supposed to come in and review to make sure that the regulated activity associated with that subdivision doesn't have an adverse impact to the wetlands. This project doesn't propose, or the application before you does not propose any regulated activity because there's no roadways being constructed. We're not proposing any roadways to be constructed. We're not proposing for any regulated activity to take place as part of this application in front of you. All of the regulated activity associated with this project was previously reviewed and approved by the Wetlands Commission. So the only thing this commission is considering is if the creation of these lots and the regulated activity associated with the creation of those lots would have an adverse impact on the wetlands. So again, this application before you doesn't propose any regulated activity. All of that activity was previously approved. This is simply the creation of the lot. So this commission has to consider, does creating these property lines have an impact on the wetlands?
So I'm going to make a motion that
Well, I just have one more question. I posed it earlier and it wasn't answered. With regard to the clubhouse and the road, the access road. Yeah.
Yep.
What,
so
how's
yes,
that work, Kevin?
the clubhouse does have a septic system. There's a clubhouse and there's a maintenance garage, and those are connected into the same system. And actually, if you look at the color coded map, you can see that parcel and that building has a system associated with it.
Okay, I don't see it. Okay, if you tell me so. Anybody see that?
Put down.
Yeah, right. So we're talking this one here.
It's there's a small, you can see the yellow. May I approach? Yeah. It's right here. It's right down here, right above the purple. The septic and it's very, because there's no one inhabiting the space. It's just for events. And so this septic system is to accommodate that.
And it has a pool.
And just, yes, and just so you know, that septic system was designed based on flows from similar clubhouses for similar projects that are operated by the same operator for this proposed development. So those were based on empirical data, how much water usage is there, how the pools are handled and managed, and that's how that system was sized.
So that septic system is about a third way down the road. What about the salt and the snow runoff that's on the 2/3 of the bottom of the road?
That doesn't get into septic.
And then goes
It's all treated through stormwater.
stormwater, so it goes right into the pond.
No, well, unless I didn't design, so Kevin, correct me if I'm misspeaking, but sure. I believe there's pre-treatment before it gets into the pond or into the wetland system before it's discharged.
That's correct. All of the stormwater is collected via, catch basins with deep sumps, and it's treated through water quality treatments. There are, so all of that was, again, previously reviewed and approved by this commission, all that activity. And, there were parameters and discussions regarding salt and sand. I believe this is,
I'd like the motion to approve the application for subdivision.
It's a report and recommendation to the Planning and Zoning Commission, so it would be, if you don't have a comment, then that would be, No comments or concerns. If you have any, it would be put into a memo to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Yeah, do we have to vote on?
You can vote to make the recommendation. You can, whatever that recommendation is.
I'd like to motion to make the recommendation to approve and to support the subdivision of the application.
Positive referral.
Positive referral.
Got it, okay.
I'd like to add a comment that the zoning commission paid particular attention on the maintenance responsibilities of the development to ensure that the responsibilities of the detention ponds are shared equally between all the lots. And just so you know, the reason, from what I recall, the reason why those septic leaching fields are so close to the wetlands is, from what I recall, that was the only virgin ground that was left on the site. It was all excavated, so you couldn't put a septic system anywhere else. So,
Okay, so we have a motion. Does anybody want a second?
second.
We have a second? Do we have to vote?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
Thank you very much.
Done.
All right, public hearings, IWC 2023-08, file 1462, 781 Main Street, Town Line Auto Body, Alamani Family Corp., proposal to construct new 24-foot by 94-foot building, as well as removal and relocation of storage containers within the upland review area.
Mr. Chairman, would you please read the legal notice into the record, please?
Anybody could, this in, right?
I don't think we.
Okay, so we have December 13, 2023 staff report, RE 7081 Main Street, Town Line Auto Body, IWC 2023-08, file 1642. Application to construct new 24-foot by 94-foot building, as well as removal and relocation of, this is it, right?
No.
Well,
I thought you wanted the draft resolution, no?
Right now,
sorry.
the legal notice that we first, that's it. That's the
Is it right
legal
here?
notice, yeah, that for each, those are the two public hearings that we're having tonight.
I apologize, I thought you needed the draft resolution.
Okay, actually, you know what? You want to read the one?
Ryan can read it, sure.
Ryan, read it.
Secretary?
Am I reading?
This, Inland West Commission, Monroe, notice of public hearing.
I have that?
It's probably in your group, but I don't know, maybe you don't, maybe you don't like read that.
Am I reading? I'm reading.
Yeah, read that into the record, please.
All right, in accordance with CGS S8-7D, a public hearing will be held on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter via hybrid Zoom at the following link. You want me to read the link? Assume not. And in-person attendees located at Monroe Town Hall Council Chambers at 7 Fan Hill Road, Monroe, Connecticut, 06468, concerning the following: Inland IWC application IWC-2023-08, 781 Main Street, proposal to construct a new 24 by 94-foot building, as well as the removal and relocation of storage containers within the upland review area. Alamani Family Corp., owner applicant Russo and Rizzo LLC representative, and also IWC application IWC-2023-09, 707 Monroe Turnpike, referral recommendation and report for proposed 3-lot subdivision St. Jude's Roman Catholic Church Corp., Town of Monroe applicant, Solely Engineering LLC representative. Keep going.
That's it.
Please check the Town of Monroe website for announcements, meetings, yada, yada.
Call the next one.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, can I read the exhibits into the record, please, for 781? Exhibit number 1, application and plan set. Exhibit number 2, revised submission. Exhibit number 3, comments and bond estimate from the town engineer. Exhibit 4, engineering comments, another bond estimate, use site plan, and impervious surface comments. Exhibit number 5, corrected application, change of narrative. Exhibit number 6, certified mail receipts. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioners, Chris Russo with Russo Nunzio LLC, office at 10 South Monroe Road in Fairfield, here on behalf of the applicant. Before you tonight, on behalf of the Monroe family corporation for the property that I'm sure many of you have driven by hundreds of times, the Town Line Auto Body Shop. This is a property we actually were here, some of you may remember, a few years ago for an approval that we received where we actually took some protection measures for the wetlands. And you're going to see that on this plan. But so the proposals for the Town Line Auto Body Shop to construct a detached building. It's actually a detached building. I can explain why. Directly behind the auto body shop, and really it's basically straight completely from Main Street. In constructing that, one of the things we're doing is, so this building, just to explain, so the reason why it's a detached building is actually the Potamani family, the Town Line Auto Body Shop, has gotten licensed in doing calibration services. Cars are now, a lot of, big part of them is computers. And so the calibration for your rear sensors, your front sensors, it's very sensitive work. This building actually, so it's self-contained, it's not attached to the main building. And to try to, for various reasons, vibration, there's actually limited windows in it as well, because light would disturb the calibration that they do. So it's a self-contained building. The nice thing about it, though, is that it does provide the opportunity to create some storage. So this site has, and has for a very long time, had storage containers along the back. Because we're able to store it in this new building, these storage containers right here, you can see they're in gray, where they are existing, are closer to the wetlands, obviously to the building. And so what this is going to allow us to do is remove some of the storage containers. We're going to go down to 3 storage containers. So it allows us to remove some of these storage containers. And there's actually a storage container here as well, and a carport here as well that will be removed. So consolidating a lot of what's on the site into a new building that's pulled back further from the wetlands than where the storage containers are now. And so really a good improvement to the site to contain it within this building. It's really the only location that this building could go. To the south, the way the wetlands go, if you're driven by the site, so there's an accountant's office that's right here to the north. There's actually a utility structures that are right down here to the south. Edgerton's across the street. But the wetlands kind of come down and they wrap around and they go down under here. So actually on the southern side of the building, one, if we put it there, would obviously block access here to the back, but also you can see the wetlands line here. The wetlands wraps around kind of like an L shape around from the back of the site down underneath this property. So it actually put it closer to the wetlands. And then up here on the north, we have the setback issue, but also this is where our septic is, this is where our drainage structures are. And this area here that we see we colored in brown here is pervious. And so it would create more impervious surface. By putting it here directly behind the building, it's within setbacks, it's screened, and it's going on existing as part of the previous application, there were a lot of concern just making sure to protect and kind of delineate between where the impervious is and where the wetlands is. So what you see here, these plantings were actually from the previous approval. And so those were installed here to protect this area. And then there was a split rail fence that was installed to kind of delineate a line there for the use and to protect the wetland. So that's all remaining and it is already in place from that previous approval. So really it's a pretty straightforward application. We're going over existing impervious and constructing this building that allows us to reduce the number of structures and pull some of these away from from the wetlands. And I know Mr. Mayo had comments and he had submitted in a letter that we had satisfied those comments. And that's really happy to answer any questions that you might have. We have Doug DeVesta here who developed this plan, so he can answer any questions you might have.
Are you ready for us for comment?
Yes.
Let's start with our town engineer so he can comment on his discussions on the plan. Oh, nice.
Yep. So, the applicant.
Ventriloquist now?
Yeah, you're not quite. It doesn't really follow where I wanted to go. So all of my previous comments have been addressed by the applicant. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what they were. Or actually, no, all of them have been addressed. There's really, as far as I'm concerned, I view it as an improvement to the wetlands. The existing pavement would be, as a parking area is prone to capturing oils and other things from vehicles, where the new building is going to be considered more clean. That's a water quality that's a plus, as well as the removal of some of those existing storage containers, because that's another source of potential contamination. So the fact that they're removing some is, from my view, a betterment for the wetlands.
All right.
That's really all I got. I mean, they don't trip any stormwater requirements due to the fact they're not increasing any impervious area. So it was kind of a pretty straightforward application because all the work is being done on existing pavement. So
your questions, James, they were from the document. It was dated November 1st that we had actually in the last meeting where we made determination. It was about lot coverage, containers, floodplain, and then a few others. There was nothing else beyond those that came up in your view? Okay.
Nope. And those have been satisfied to this point.
Any other commissioner? Speak.
I have comment. Go ahead. So this shop is 2,200 feet away from my home on Hillcrest Road. And according to our site visit protocol, I conducted a thorough site visit. And I'd like to report to you guys what I found. I saw no wetland violations. They're right against the wetlands. I saw nothing of a wetland violation. I totally concur with our town engineer with regard to everything he said, and I won't repeat it, but I will say that I was very concerned with adequate hazardous waste control, and they passed with flying colors. I was also concerned with employee training and shop certification. This shop is got certifications from different automotive companies, as well as they're a gold class shop. And I agree that this is overdue. I'm glad to see that it's happening. We needed to get rid of some of those trailers, that existing storage container, the carport. Getting them out of there is the right thing to do. And this investment is commensurate with the kind of business that we want in Monroe. And this business has been there for 50 years, and I applaud what they're doing, and I would ask you to just do the best you need to let this happen. We need to let this happen as soon as we can, in my opinion.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anybody else?
One comment. I agree that it, as far as wetlands, it looks like an improvement. I would only suggest, and it has nothing to do with wetlands, is that the fire marshal review the plans, because I'm not sure about the access between the buildings, just personally. I don't know whether that's going to be a long-term issue.
Well, they have to sign off on the. My only question was about the velocity of the runoff. If it's being into a gutter and it's going to concentrate the flow, down the slope. That Raymond any thought on that? Are you going to just drip it? It's just going to drip off and continue to sheet flow, just stuff in that regard.
The record, my name is Doug DeVesta, I'm a professional engineer. I prepared the plan. There's no proposed gutters for the roof itself. It's just going to sheet flow off the roof and along the edges of the bottom, the drip line of the building itself.
Okay. Everything to the record.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if there was any question. I was just going to run through the standard decision.
Public comment first. Anybody here in the audience tonight, in the chambers, that would like to speak in favor or opposition? Come on down. Well, is anybody else who wants to speak on this application tonight in the audience besides this one? No? Okay, anybody online?
Hi, Sue Renee. I live at 25 Bart Road, and I just wanted to reiterate most of what everyone else has already said. Don't have anything to add. This is a business that's really on the up and up. I think they're making great improvements. I think that's only going to be better for the residents as they pass by into business in and around that site. I think that these folks have been champion stewards of the environment and wetlands, as best as can be done by a business on Route 25. And I figured I'd just come say it because even though it's what everybody else said, I came and sat for an hour and a half. So I really wish them well. I do. They're good.
Thank you. Thank you. Chris, you like to close or no, finish what you're?
Sure, I'll just. Regarding the standards and criteria for a decision, the environmental impact of gross regulated activity on the wetlands, including the effect on the inland wetlands and water courses. This activity, we are, again, working on existing impervious surface, and we are pulling away from the wetlands. We'll be removing these storage containers, or at least a good majority of these storage containers, which is certainly an improvement. The feasible prudent alternatives, I went through that very quickly, but again, the south, it actually ends up being closer to a wetland, and on the north end, we would have setback issues. We would go into pervious area, and we also have the septic and drainage systems up there. Regarding short-term and long-term impacts of the proposed regulated activity, everything is I think, essentially a benefit because, again, we're pulling away from the wetlands. This is an area that we've already protected for a previous approval, and I think placing it in a new building is certainly an improvement. And will be better for the long term. Is there irreversible or irretrievable loss of wetland? No. We're not touching anything with the wetlands. Do we interfere with the safety, health, and reasonable use of the property? No. If anything, I think we are improving that. The possible impacts of proposed regulated activity on the areas outside where the work is proposed or beyond the site. No, again, this is limited. It's on existing impervious area. And the measures which would mitigate the impact on the proposed regulated activity, again, we have a previous approval here that instituted those measures. So they are already in place. So for those reasons, we respectfully request your approval and feel we meet your criteria for decision.
You like to close the public hearing?
Yes, please.
All right, thank you. All right, now we're on to IWC 2023-09, file number 1463. Wait, Dean,
To close the public hearing?
We approve, can I make a motion to approve a possible draft resolution?
Well, that's in deliberations.
Okay.
Yeah, you'd want to vote to close the public hearing though, right?
Okay, so we'll make a motion to close the public hearing, so.
Make motion.
Make a motion to close the public hearing, Commissioner Smith, second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we're on to IWC 2023-309, file number 1463, settlement by St. Jude Roman Catholic Church, owner, 3-lot subdivision report recommendation to P&Z Commission, Tom Monroe applicant, zoning engineer representative.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to read the exhibits into the record.
Thank you.
Exhibit 1, application set and plans. Exhibit 2, wetland delineation report, and Exhibit 3 are the certified mail receipts. Mr. Chairman.
Again, Luke Morrow, with zoning engineering, for the record, office in Connecticut. We're here tonight, just to refresh everyone's memory, if you recall, as we took on our application at the last meeting. At that point, we weren't sure if there were wetlands on site. We were fairly certain there wasn't, but we went and we did a delineation to ensure that there was no wetlands on site before there was any action made on this application. So we're here tonight on behalf of the town of Monroe for another subdivision referral so that this can get approved by planning and zoning, basically for the lots to separate the school portion of the St. Jude property from the church and the rectory in the back. In preparation for future purposes. So, as requested, we sent out public hearing notices. We had a wetlands delineation conducted by William Kenny Associates. They did know there are no wetlands actually on the property. There is a stream, a wetland water course located approximately 95 feet to the southwest of the property. I believe that encompasses 110 and 119 Church Street, but those are private properties, so there was no delineation on our property, they're on private property. So in summary, we're here for another subdivision referral. We're here because at that time there was no wetland delineation performed. However, at this point, there has been wetlands delineation performed, or there has been a site visit performed on site. There's no physical work associated with this application. Simply again for the wetlands regs needs to go through wetlands commission referral so that it can go to the planning subdivision application. With that, take any questions.
Questions from any of the commissioners?
Move positive referral.
Wait, should we let the public?
Oh, you do have to get public comment.
Oh, yeah.
It's a public hearing, yeah. So anybody in the
Jeez, what's going on here?
anybody in the public like to comment in favor, in opposition, or general nature about this application? Anybody online or in chambers? Didn't we have somebody? Was it?
Lady, I don't know.
Karen, did you have?
Ms. Coffey?
No, I don't have any the only question I have is what are they subdividing?
So we can certainly get into more detail in planning and zoning, but essentially the property is going to be split in two so that the school building.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Karen, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Karen Coffey, 724 Monroe Turnpike, Monroe.
Thank you.
Okay, so essentially we're just subdividing property into two lots so that the school is a standalone property, and then the church and rectory would be a second property because we need to split it in order for the town to be able to purchase.
Right. So why is there three? Because it said three.
It's actually two. The third lot is in the case the septic fails, and this isn't really a wetlands matter, but in case the existing school septic system fails in the future, a new septic system has to be installed on the Monroe Turnpike side of the property. And in that case, if that were to happen, that portion of the property is going to be deeded back to the Archdiocese. So it's a 2-lot subdivision, and we may have mistakenly called out as 3. That would be in the future if it's required. So it's 2 lots. I'm sorry for that confusion.
Okay. You don't have any questions? No, we don't have any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Do you want to close the? Well, do we just do in deliberation?
So I think we're going to treat it like a regular public hearing, even though it's.
Okay, all right, so I'll make a motion to close the hearing. Motion, Commissioner Smith to close the hearing, second. Second, Commissioner Lindstrom, all in favor? Aye. All right, this application is being moved to deliberation. All right. Deliberation session. Deliberation on completing hearings, complete items from this agenda as determined by the commission. IWC 2023-08, file 1462, 781 Main Street, Town Line Auto Body. Someone like to make
Make a motion to approve with conditions. We have a draft resolution.
condition.
Well, the draft resolution as stated, I don't.
The only thing that it's a standard conditions. The only bond, it's for like $1,800 for erosion control measures only. Just, silt fence, hay bales, things like that. And so,
The only thing is it stated that there's no gutters on the anywhere on the application.
we want to have it stated that there be no gutters on it as a condition of approval.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's it. That's my only thing. Because they stated this, but I didn't see it written in there.
Okay.
But anybody else?
Was was there a public hearing before this meeting? Was this the second public hearing or the first?
No,
That was
That's it.
That was it. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss one. Not being here the last meeting.
Anybody else?
No, it was just a motion to be a public hearing.
Okay, good.
Any other?
No, I have no concerns about it.
That's it. So we have the draft resolution. Do we can use this tonight?
Yes, as amended by the commission.
Okay.
That other condition, yes.
All right, so do you want to make a motion to accept this draft resolution with the amendment?
That's right.
Okay.
Please.
Making a motion?
I make a motion to accept it with your condition.
Okay, we have a motion to accept it with one condition. You have a second? So a motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Lindstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
This motion passes unanimously. I'd like to make a motion for the subdivision referral IWC 2023-09, file 1463, 707 Monroe Turnpike, St. Jude Roman Catholic Church. Someone like to make a motion for subdivision referral?
A motion for a positive referral for the subdivision.
Motion. Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Smith to move this along to planning and zoning. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, that's done. Bond release reduction requests. IWC 2022-03, file 1406, 83 Riding Ridge Road. File request for $10,000 bond release.
Mr. Chairman, this permit was given in 2022. The work was completed. There were actually no plantings associated with it. It was just stabilization of the property and, finishing of the drainage and all those things. The site's stabilized and it's ready to go.
All right, so we'll make a motion request release bond.
Just make the release the bond.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Smith to release the bond. Second? Second by Commissioner Lindstrom. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously to release the bond at 83 Riding Ridge Road. What is this? 12-3. Is there something cut off here?
No, it's an I. It's an
12-3 file, sorry.
Yeah.
763, 39 Doris Road, Paoletti, request for bond reduction from 22,000 to 5,000.
We're actually, if it's okay with you tabling this, I would mention that the permit's been transferred from the previous owner, Mr. Provenzano, to Mr. Paoletti to develop the lot. It was an older permit that was given to develop, but the permit at the time was given with understanding of resolving old violations. So it was a restoration and remediation as well as a permit to build. And so some of the work was possibly done. We're checking on that so that the new builder would like to get a bond reduction since the previous permit holder, he is telling me has done much of the work.
Okay.
So it's tabled, but that's what's coming up most likely in January.
All right, thank you. IWC agent activity reports, enforcement, IWV dash 2023-08, file number 1461. Road, mate, owner, show cause hearing, filling in of a water body.
So, Mr. Chairman.
1 second.
Oh, go ahead.
You were approved, if you're here.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
So, Mr. Chairman, at the last meeting, we discussed the notice of violation about the water body being filled in the backyard. Since then, after that meeting, I sent a cease and correct order, and the owner did come in, and he is here tonight if you need to speak with him. And he mentioned to me that in 2021, there was a septic problem on the property. And he came in and he went to the health department, and did indeed, the health department required that the water body be filled in. I think I sent you a copy of this in your packets. And there's a curtain drain put in, and it specifically says they were going to fill in and grade off surrounding the contours of the pond. And so because this was the only place that they could put the septic, and it was signed off on by the health department in 2021. So that's actually how it happened. It was allowed by the town, the health department. So kind of it's basically what happened.
That's a superseding authority?
I would say so, yes. In that case, I mean, I have no septic, that's where it's going to go. So that's that.
That's it?
I don't know what else can be done if it was allowed by the town health department. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, good. All right, permitted use as of right. Nothing. Our discussion, decisions, other 44 Bridle Path Trail, proposed additions to house, including paving and drainage improvements, determination of type of permit required.
So in your packets as well, colorized plan for single-family house addition, deck, an increase of paving to help access the garage within the upland review area. Most of the addition of the house is just on the edge of the upland review, but there's paving, there is a Coltex system and a splash pad with a little bit of drainage. We're proposing silt fencing, and the closest limit of disturbance is about 45 feet. I had been on the fence about whether to do an agent approval or not. I know we spoke about distances from the wetlands if it's taking place over previously disturbed area like a lawn. However, it's a fair amount of work, and I thought I'd bring it to the commission just to get your take if you were comfortable with an agent approval or you'd like to see a regular application come before the commission.
Opinions? Have something?
Not much.
No, I'm saying, what's your opinion, agent approval or regular public hearing?
I'm okay with agent approval.
I would agree.
I'm all over an agent approval.
Okay.
All right, do you take a vote on that?
I'll take a vote, might as well take a vote, let me know.
Motion? Say.
Not motion.
Say what? To make it a.
I make a motion.
Agent approval.
The agent approval.
For 44 Bridle Path.
44 Bridle Path.
Okay. We have a second. Motion by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Kelly. All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Now, this is where the night gets a little interesting.
What?
I am actually going to get down and I'm actually going to make a presentation to you guys. Okay? Okay. Ordinary, but I guess sometimes things have to be done. So grab some stuff. Pass out.
I actually provided each commissioner the last part. There's some pictures of driveways in each of your packets.
Oh, yeah. What am I missing here?
Yeah, where are we at on this?
So you can see what Commissioner Smith is holding up here.
Yeah, no,
Right here. That's it.
oh, this is an add-on. Gotcha. I'm like, I don't.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we added it after 44 Bridal.
I know.
Beginning of the night.
Hannah Smith. I missed that.
Gonna pass these out.
There you go.
Well, thank you, sir.
It's Abdul Adamas. My address is 44 Oakmont Trail here in Monroe.
Hi, my name is Keith Romano. I'm here assisting Art here with his presentation, you guys. 7 Sleep Tile Drive, Monroe. The three addresses that we're discussing tonight are
44, 44, 48, 43, and 19.
Oh, those are the Oakmont Trail. It's a private road in the town. They contacted me through social media as a potential person to solve their problem with their driveway. There's 4 things that need to happen on this driveway to deal with their issue. As you can see in the picture of the pothole, pretty severe. I've witnessed Art's wife drive through it and almost bottom out the car. It's that bad. The first thing for a temporary get through the winter is the whole material that's been pushed out of the hole to get kind of homogenized back in, tilled in, regraded, and compacted back in with a vibratory roller. Second thing is, if you look on the the GIS picture, you'll see there's a proposed pipe written in there. I know it's kind of faded. The picture that I handed out to you guys. If you look, there's 2 existing pipes. I think it's represented on the plan that Cheryl provided and on my picture. Existing pipes on my site visit last week or earlier this week are taking water from upland and it's constantly flowing through those 2 pipes. I believe there's an 18 and a 24-inch pipe. Water is moving through those pipes normally, except for one needs a little bit of cleaning out at the mouth for better flow. But where I see where I've drawn proposed pipe, there is actually a puddle of water that's trapped on shedding off the lawn. Okay, that is just level with the driveway. Okay, and there's no water flowing out of that puddle. It's just the puddle is existing, and it's kind of like blocked. So it's bringing the water table up around that part of the driveway. So the second part of the action would be to install a 12-inch pipe underneath the driveway there, 1 foot below finished grade for proper coverage. Now, it's a 12-inch pipe, not because it's moving 12 inches of water or it needs a 12-inch pipe to move that much water. It's just because that keeps the pipe, that's like the minimum you want so that it doesn't get clogged up and restricted. A 4-inch or a 3-inch pipe would actually handle the amount of water we're talking about. So it's not that we're trying to direct a bunch of water. The third thing rather, is we need to replace the base with a better draining material. So we're proposing a 12-inch excavation of the existing base and putting in an 8-inch gravel blanket, then 4 inches of process compacted on top of that. I'll get into that later, a little more detail. And then the fourth action would be if you look on the map, there's the house that's down closer to Cottage Street. Their property slopes down pretty significantly to the driveway, the access driveway. And again, this is a shared driveway. All three houses share this driveway. We would like to raise the grade 5 inches over 60. The driveway is 12 feet wide. Raise the grade there for over 65 feet, 5 inches, just to get it a little bit higher so that the gravel blanket will allow the water shedding off that front yard to pass underneath the driveway instead of over. And also allow us to, I believe the area sunk over time, it just seems naturally low, allow us for some, the water to shed properly to the other two, pipes on either side of that area instead of traveling over the driveway. So according to the way I understand, filling in the holes and recompacting the holes is like a maintenance issue. I would think that would be an agent approval very, easily. The second thing, maybe also that would be considered an agent approval would be to replace the base with another material without changing any grades, just taking out bad base, replacing it with good base, compactings for potential either future paving or just to run on the compacted process up to them down the road. The two things that are different would be the installation of the pipe under the driveway and the 5 inches of raising the grade over 65 feet. So a little bit more about the existing conditions out there and what's going on. I witnessed in these holes, these big divots, that the water is just standing in there. And although it does appear that there's a crushed rock base under there, it's just not draining the water out. So the water is being logged up in there and it's not draining out. That's why the gravel blanket is being proposed to allow the water to pass through and also keep the moisture, the water away from the finished course at the top so it doesn't freeze and heave in the winter. There's also areas where water flows clearly right over the driveway. And that would be the area where I said, the 65 feet where it's a little low, so bringing it up would help it from flowing over the driveway. There's also, the path has been kept clear by just road use. So the 12-foot wide driveway probably has on the downhill side or the side away from 19 has got like a berm of like leaf litter that's decomposed over the years. It's kind of like keeping the water kind of trapped in the driveway. Also, it just hasn't been cleared. Like no one is going along with a shovel to kind of clear the leaves and stuff. It's kind of coagulated there and it's all decomposing and it's also trapping the water. And also, I believe it might have some effect with the freeze thaw because when a driveway is, cleared and the black asphalt, in the wintertime, everything from freezing, it starts from the top and moves into the earth, but from thawing, it goes the same way. So if your asphalt's not completely exposed to the sun, you're going to have a cold spot underneath that dirt and everything else is going to thaw out. And when it's thawing out, there's like a liquid trap. So if it's not completely cleared from edge to edge, meaning like this debris, this leaf litter, you're going to get a solid block of ice under there while the sun's trying to heat up the rest of the driveway and thaw it out. Now all the water's trapped, which causes a pumping action and helps deteriorate this driveway. So by clearing that leaf litter off and reestablishing the full width of the driveway, it's going to help maintain the future work that they're going to do to repair the driveway. And then there's the issue of where we need the pipe, just because just the way it's shedding off the neighbor's property there, it's holding in that area, and that's, trying to make its way through the driveway and causing those problems. So basically, what we're hoping for is you guys would allow an agent approval for this work. Their current plan is to fill in the holes, install the pipe at this point, and not do the exhuming of 12 inches and replacing the base and then adding that 5 inches of elevation until a later time, either next year, before the next season, for, I think, there's 3 neighbors that have to kind of all kick in, and they're trying to work out those details for that larger project, but they just want to be able to make their driveway safe. It's clearly not safe. Those holes freeze up. There's going to be ice. It's going to be ice skating, plus potential damage from just driving over these really big holes that I was even nervous to drive my pickup truck over because they were filled with water and I didn't even know how deep they were. And then you can see I left you a detail page explaining that we put the pipe in, it's going to be backfilled with stone, it's going to have fabric over it, it's going to be a minimum of 12 inches of cover. Also, in the gravel blanket detail, you'll see that we're going to remove 12 inches from the 12 foot wide, 12 and a half foot wide, I guess you got a little bit over, width of the driveway. We're going to look for any soft spots that because this was a driveway that was installed over what was probably wet soil at one point. So not knowing if it was done properly, some people will just throw some gravel over it and just, a long time ago, just drive over. We'll check to make sure that what's underneath is good and move some of the material that we're scraping off into any low areas. We'll be compacting that sub base. We'll be putting down geotechnical fabric. Above that, we'll put in 8 inches of 1.25 inch crushed stone, compacting that. Another layer of geotechnical fabric, and then from there, 3 to 4 inches of compacted recycled sub base. Be paved over or left as the wear course. That's all I have.
Questions, anyone?
Yeah, only question is, where is this pipe on this map right here?
One of
So
them.
that map shows the 2 existing pipes.
Yeah.
The picture I gave you shows my proposed.
Yeah, where is that
I can show you.
on this map somewhere?
No, that's just an existing.
Those are when the houses were built.
I pulled those from
It's
the,
not there, but is it located anywhere on this?
It's not on here because it's a proposed.
I understand that, but if it was on there, where would it be?
Between the.
So it's.
Yeah, he's got it drawn in here.
Right. So I don't know which way this is orientated to that, but I'm thinking it's
So it's
somewhere
in there,
here.
so it's in there, okay. And that's the low spot.
Yes.
Okay.
So what's on either side of these? Like, I don't see any wetlands or anything. Are there wetlands?
This main portion of the driveway is most likely through primarily wetlands. On the one side, there's a front lawn. On the other side, the 2 areas where the two pipes that are existing do drain water from uphill. And then everything on that other side of the driveway, which I do, where there's not a house, is basically looks like it's wetlands. So we're just assuming 200. So the total, okay, so I missed the whole total impacted area that's going to be taken up and replaced is 295 feet by 12 feet wide. So I would assume that all that is in leased upland review area.
Right.
The whole entire project.
I see that Boys Halfway River and Brookside Trail, which parallels the Halfway River, is a pretty good distance. So I don't think there's a problem, and if there's no more comment, I'd like to make a.
One more question. Nate, you're planning on excavating uphill of this, right? Upstream of this to get the water in? If I look at your plan.
Sorry, what was it? Say that question.
Your plan, you're digging down, how deep to get the water into this pipe and how big?
About 2 feet, because we also have a electrical service somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that it's 2 feet down or lower, so the pipe will ride over that, and we would normally just take the pipe and go a couple feet past the driveway envelope.
Yeah.
But since we're probably going to be exposing some the coverage over the electrical wires, we're going to go a little bit farther, and this is away from the wetlands into the backyard of number 19, right?
Yes.
Just so that we could put enough dirt and have proper cover over the electrical wire. So that's going to go maybe 4 or 5 feet past the edge of the driveway. On the other side, only a foot or 2 until we meet grade for the pipe. And again, there is no active water running over that area. because when it's not raining, it's just, although the other two pipes are taking active water, like every time I've been there, it hasn't been raining. So it's not a moving water. It's only just a relief for when it rains. And the other thing too is this is the project that we're going to move forward with before the winter is a 2-day operation. Very hardly any real disturbance except for digging out the pipe. And that's a matter of just a couple, half a day to a day for that part, depending on water control and how much we got to find, look for that electrical wire. And then the other part that we're hoping to get permission for their future, for down the line, again, it's still only a 2-day operation. So there's really no chance of any exposure, long-term exposure as far as any erosion or anything. We're not really digging into any loose soil. It's all going to be compacted as we go, so it's going to be tight. As tight as the existing conditions are now.
What's your plan in the likely event that you run into conduit right where you want to put your pipe?
So the other options are, one option would be if the electrical was say only a foot deep, we would have to do a concrete pipe. We could go under it if we had to, and then just again, keep the existing, as long as we don't change the coverage, we can go under it. If we had to, highly unlikely. But concrete, if we couldn't get the 2 feet down, we can go to a smaller pipe. It's not recommended, but in that particular situation, it would be warranted. A smaller pipe, maybe a flared end to help keep the, from clogging up. And like I said, the other thing would be concrete if we were really, really pinched as far as for coverage.
Right. You won't know, even if they do the call before you're not going to tell you how.
And they spoke to them today. There's no depth. They won't give me any depth.
Right. So that's to be determined, I suppose. Yeah. As long as you have a plan B and C just in case.
So can I also ask, we're talking about the 3 addresses. So I'm looking at it on a map. Is it 19 that's a little bit less than halfway up the road on the left side? And then it's 43 and 44 in the back. Where exactly on that road, you mentioned that the pipe is going to be near the backyard for 19? Like where on that, how far up the road is it actually? Like where exactly?
It's there. It's just here. Like that.
I see. I got it.
The whole work envelope is basically around between those 2 pipes that are on the other plan, the bigger piece that you have.
So I'm just, the only reason I'm asking is just because like obviously this is something that definitively impacts 43 and 44. I could understand how it could impact 19 as well. Obviously, you can see that just based on where the old pipes are, the existing pipes. I'm curious, like, is there any reason we should be inquiring with 19? We're kind of here. There's one of the 3 homeowners is here. Should there be any conversation about impact? And
I actually own the road along with.
Oh, you own.
19 just has right of way.
Okay. Understood.
I believe they've had an agreement about splitting the cost. All 3 of us agreed to split the cost for the repair.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any comments? James, anything you want to contribute?
Yeah, so I did also drive or do a site visit of this driveway. I pulled around in the driveway of 19. I didn't even I didn't trust driving my town vehicle up the driveway. So something really does need to be done. In terms of the agent approvals and things like that, for the maintenance of filling in these potholes, the sooner you can get this done, the better. It's literally a safety hazard. So I do feel like that should just fall under maintenance. Replacement of pipes. Yeah. The only caveat that I have is in terms of the long-term fix, I don't know if 5 inches will be enough to raise it. Because ideally, as the property owner, you want something that's going to last. And there's shallow groundwater, the surface water's running right there. I think it's worth a little bit more of a look to see if it's cost effective for you to potentially even raise some sections even more than just the 5 inches. But that being said, in my eyes, I do think that when you start changing the grades and doing stuff like that, personally, I don't know if as a commission you want to do that as an administrative approval or if you would like to see an actual application for that aspect. But the maintenance, 100%, to me, that's something that should just be done. And we want to do that as quickly as possible. But those are my only thoughts. And even if one of the other thoughts for Keith, if that conduit is shallow, also think about potentially raising the road over it, because if that pipe is already in, the conduit's not at that elevation for nothing else. So worst comes to worst, you could raise the elevation of the driveway to dodge the conduit as well.
Right.
Because you really shouldn't need to change the elevation of that pipe too much.
So just so we're clear, we're not replacing a pipe, we're adding a pipe. So
I thought you were replacing that section. Okay.
No, we're not replacing. All the pipes that are there are going to stay. We're adding a pipe just to relieve a puddle.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
That forms, right? And then, in your comment about the 5 inches raising the grade, we will be now in that area adding 17 inches of new material there. So it would be an additional 5 inches of gravel in that area to bring the grade up.
Yeah, but the finished or the existing grade to finished grade change is only going to be about 5 inches. Yeah,
5 inches there, and then there's also if they decide to pave, that'll add the width, the thickness a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm just again, I see the issue, and this is just a recommendation for the applicant and the property owner is to just investigate potentially thinking about raising that pavement up, because even if that water is free flowing through the gravel, my concern is that if it freezes before it can be relieved, it will then start popping that asphalt. And again, this is a big expense. Just give it a little bit of thought is my recommendation.
I did initially look at it and think that bringing it up a foot would be better. But the only concern I had was because it slopes off so much down to the downhill on the other side, and then there's the culvert pipe doesn't punch out very far. It's a concrete pipe, so all that extra added material on the sides, I was trying to avoid that because that would be encroaching material into the wetlands, and there's also a lot of really big trees on the edge. So there's it warrants there's time to look at it, a little more detail.
Yeah, and that's just my recommendation is to just make sure you give that some good thought.
Right.
Before you proceed.
They would probably I would think they would let it sit for at least one winter before they were to pave it, just to be confident in everything, because there's a little bit unknown about what's down deep there. And we're not going to try to explore the depths, especially with possibly a direct burial electrical line in the ground. So, but we feel that, and the homeowners want to be able to hopefully before the winter fill in the holes compacted and install the pipe. The other stuff would not be happening at this time, although we are hoping that we could still get the agent approval to save them from the cost of coming forward with an application, but that's up to them.
I would just say for agent approval, usually, maintenance, filling in the holes, absolutely, it needs to be done. As far as anything else, I mean, just for agent approval, usually if there's any kind of disturbance within 100 feet, we knew where the wetlands are. We at least know where the soils are, what's taking place and where on a map and all of that. And that's when if it was any more than that, I would bring it to you guys, because we just kind of found out about this. Filling in the holes, I can rate an agent approval. I probably would have done that without even talking to you, but since there's more to it, that's when you get into the regulated activity and it's a commission application, so.
Right, that's what it sounds like to me. I'm fine with this being almost like a two-stage, give them the green light to do all the maintenance.
So maintenance being filling the holes.
Right.
I know that more needs to be done and quickly. I get it. I was out there too, and my truck almost bottomed out, but agent approvals are for things that are like very minor and far away from the wetland or on previously disturbed. And there's water on all different sides. And the last plans I saw on this, I think were 2004. There was an as-built done. I'm not sure when the soils were ever delineated. I think they were, but I couldn't even find out when.
Wouldn't the installation of the driveway itself be previously disturbed? I mean, it's
right, but it's
calculating maybe 36 square feet.
But previously disturbed in what relation, foot-wise to the
Meaning that it was,
wetland?
at one point, it had to be stumps and trees.
I'm sure the driveway is definitely previously disturbed.
Right.
Previously disturbed within what, how many feet to the wetland is my point? You know what I mean? Like there are wetlands.
I would say that it is wet. There's water, standing water right there.
For sure. Right, but there's on both sides of it are wetlands.
I just wanted because when we started to fill out, I filled out the form, the part that said how many square foot of the wetlands would be disturbed. And my guess is 36 square feet to get the pipe out 2 feet on one side. And depending on where that power line is, maybe 5 feet on the other side past what's already disturbed for the driveway. So, and we got to dig a trench that's 16 inches wide with a narrow bucket. So I'm just saying, just to throw out that data, maybe 36 square feet of area that would be undisturbed previously just to get the pipe in, seeing that was underneath the driveway that already exists. So that's just to throw that out for the last tidbit of information. I'll leave it.
You're showing a fairly big excavation on the uphill side. I mean, according to the contours.
Which are you?
This drawing.
The only excavation is the pipe outside the envelope of the driveway, but
but if you're in the ground 2 feet, you may not be proposing to do this, but right now you're looking, how wide's that road? I don't have a scale.
12 feet.
So I mean, you're looking at going at least 12 feet, I mean, the drawing anyway, 12 feet away from the pipe and probably 2 or 3 times. So 12 by 30 excavation you're showing on the plans. Right here, you're showing moving that contour over around that pipe.
No.
And then digging another contour here.
No, that's not, I don't know what that is. That has nothing to do with what we're doing.
Well, that's the pipe you're putting in.
No, that pipe exists.
No, that's an existing one.
That's an existing.
You're on the, is there 2 pages here?
Which pipe?
This must be way up by the
And
house.
which pipe are you putting in?
The pipe I'm putting in is somewhere.
So it's not shown anywhere on the plan?
No, it's somewhere in, it's there. It's right there. So you can see this is the house and there's his backyard and there's one.
Okay.
We're just trying to relieve a puddle that's going to freeze and affect the edge of the driveway. And maybe I'm coming out, and this is just, I just highlighted this. This is much bigger than the work. We're only working within the envelope of the existing driveway, but that pipe has, if I'm 2 feet down, I got to be at least 2 feet away from the edge for the outlet.
But I mean, you're gonna be able to get the water into it.
Right, because it's gonna be 2 feet, the invert of the pipe is gonna be 2 feet below the existing water level now. So you just have to pump it in and just shape a little bit so it doesn't like wash it. Maybe a little root gravel or riprap or some stone in it.
And they're not proposing to do that, the final grading until next year?
To where we're gonna take out 12 inches of material and replace it?
They're not planning on that right now. They're planning, so we could do an agent approval tonight and get you going with your repairs.
We're really looking for filling in the holes in the pipe. So we could do it before the freeze starts setting in and it turns into a dangerous puddle.
Are you okay with the pipe?
I'm not really okay with it.
Okay, she's not okay with the pipe, so.
I'm sorry. Because normally we would need at least to know where the wetlands are, like have them delineated.
They're everywhere.
Right.
I mean.
Oh, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't even know exactly we know what we're dealing with, but we don't know like physically out there flagged what we're dealing with and where. And that's kind of that's the thing. The agent approvals are.
I understand why you don't want to make your approval, but I'm not sure that you.
I'm happy to give.
Flag when you're assuming that
Everything's there.
Right, but I mean, when he comes in for a permit, he's going to need to have them flagged when he comes back to do the driveway, right? When he comes back to do it.
He's trying to solve the.
I understand, but I'm just saying that's not normally what an agent approval is really for, like, and sometimes even for like a septic failure, like it's like like can't function with my house. It's a deck, it's a pool, it's something that's for a little further away, it's a little increase in paving and 100% maintaining your driveway, like filling the holes in. So I understand that, and I'm just saying.
Let me mention this, okay? If we're filling in these holes, okay, and we're kind of homogenizing the material, which means that we're not just gonna fill the hole, we're gonna kind of scarify it so that when it goes, just to the same depth of what the puddles are now. So that if you just try to compact this hole back in and everything else is rock hard, it's gonna just still be like a fill where we want to kind of homogenize, just scratch it in, scarify it so that we roll it out, it kind of is all one in together. We could put a Schedule 40 4-inch pipe, right, bed it in so it's right at the surface. That'll solve the problem for the winter. It'll allow the water to pass under the driveway instead of over. Okay, so that is like, you could do that with a shovel. We don't have to go into the and do anything. That would solve it, but it's not a permanent solution.
It'll solve it for the winter until you get, and I like that.
I was just going to ask if we can go part of the way, and then if there's some issue that you would come back to us on January 10th or whatever,
Or as soon as they can get the application in.
Right.
I mean. Right.
So I'm okay with that middle ground there.
Yeah.
James, you okay with that? James? Yes?
He's okay with that.
Okay.
That solves it until the permanent solution.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So can I make a motion to proceed with that?
Proceed with the agent approval with that.
With that modification.
Yeah.
All right. Now, just to clarify for them, there's mixed comments on the commission. I mean, we're not going to try to say it's not wetlands. So for the sake of a pipe and putting in is how much would he have to like invest in this, highlighting a story side of this, and that's got to be picked up on an A2 survey. It's really just the pipe that should be there, to solve a problem. I mean.
But then he's coming back and doing all the work to the driveway and the geotech fabric and all that.
He's gonna do it. Well, that would be just a pavement repair. Like that would be, because we're just taking out the base that already exists and replacing it with something in better condition. So that's up to you, but I just want to help direct him so that he knows what he's up against in order to go for the more long-term and better repair. I mean, if we're, it's bad enough that they have a driveway that's, failing and it's costing them, a good amount of money to replace it, but then to throw in, $1,000 for this or $500 for this for, a survey, it's clearly it's wetlands. I mean, it's not going to try to say, oh, this is a wetlands, we don't need it. We're not going to say he's not going to say that we don't need to go to a hearing because there's no wetlands here. We're claiming that it is. Does that help anyone? Does that mean anything?
I think we just got to follow what the rules are. If the rules are such that you have to present a plan that shows all of it,
we don't have, the town mapping doesn't go to that area, right?
The last mapping that we have is from like 1999 and it just shows one wetland area, but it doesn't say who delineated it or when. And it's outdated. Very outdated. Usually wetland mapping is roughly 5 years that it's valid, roughly.
Right.
If there's.
So I will add from an engineering perspective, what I'm going to be looking for is some details for, you know what I mean, the installation of the sub base, all that. Any treatments that you're going to be doing, like Keith, you mentioned like riprap around like the pipe inlet and outlet, you know what I mean? Some standard details for that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you guys have an existing survey. If that's the case, then as far as I'm concerned, it can kind of be on there as long as so we have locations of items. But that's pretty much what I would be looking for from an engineering perspective. I can't speak to what the wetlands regulations require though. And also, if you're changing the grade, your anticipated disturbance adjacent to the driveway, you know what I mean? So if the driveway is 12 feet, you're going to say, okay, well, I'm typically disturbing 16 feet from, edge to edge, you know what I mean? An additional 2 feet on each side or something like that in either a narrative or a little sketch.
Yeah. On the current plan of only coming up 5 inches, it would not even be a foot on the downhill side. The uphill side will just be meeting the grass, the previous, of the front lawn.
Correct. Yeah.
I could draw, that could be for the detail.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve of that condition for agent approval,
For the maintenance, yes.
maintenance, right?
I make a motion for the agent approval for the maintenance.
I'll second.
A second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
I don't know about this contractor though.
Yeah, no, I've heard iffy things about it. All right, so this now, we don't need this anymore. This is, so it comes back.
Yeah, back.
I think that now.
Toss it back there.
Minutes, we don't have any.
Minutes.
Laws, we don't have any, do we have?
No, because they're being reviewed by Corporation Town Council still.
Are we officially going 6:30?
That was my question. That was the revision.
That was the revision, and the town council has it. I mean, town council, meaning Corporation Council or the law department has it. They're reviewing it.
I'm sure we'll hear from you in January, but for the moment, should we?
We don't know. I would say we're still 7, but because we're doing that special thing on the same date, right? We've decided, the public outreach thing, the evasive.
So the gentleman who was going to come speak can come. He said February 28th. That's your second meeting.
Right.
Your second meeting that you normally wouldn't.
We'll do it. We'll do it then.
Did we get that?
Because then we won't have any, like, if we need it for something from the first meeting, yeah, but then we'll just be an open slate. We won't have to mess with.
Exactly. Right. So that's when.
So that's the update on that.
Did we get the approval for like some sliced Wonder Bread and tap water?
I don't know. Did we?
I'm working on that. You want
Okay. We got that.
A cup of water for everybody?
bucks in there for refreshments, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, well, we should have sufficient time to let the public know about the hearing so that we can get some.
Plenty of time.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as he confirms, so that's their date, is our.
He said he could do the 28th of February. That's.
All right, so we're gonna do it the 28th of February, and that's a date that we already had.
I'm gonna double check. Wait, hold on, sorry. It's February. Yeah, no, it's, when's your next,
So we can release that, we could publicize that now. If something happens, we have plenty of time to,
yeah, the 28th.
but I think we should publicize the date and what we're planning to do.
My bedtime.
Okay?
Not adjourned yet.
So, all right, so now, not yet.
Ahead of the curve.
One other housekeeping thing I want to discuss. So it has something to do with this communications, right? Just so you're aware, right? And let's talk about a property walkthrough. Okay, you've never had it and it's never been brought up here, but just what's happened in the past is that those are discussed during the hearing, okay? Or it can happen during the determination if a commissioner has looked at the plan and feels that they want to have a walkthrough schedule, but we want to schedule those through as a commission as a whole, just because it didn't seem like anybody else wanted to do it. It's totally fine to want to do it, but my concern is that if we had other commissioners, and now there's only 5 of us, but someday there'll be 7. And if everybody decides they want to do a walkthrough at different times, then technically the owner's rep should be there, the engineer should be there, right? So we don't want to make it so that just whenever someone in the commission wants to be able to visit, that now they have to call in these professionals, whether it's the engineer, or sometimes it's a soil scientist, and I'm just talking broad on any type of application, not anything specific. So what we want to do is, when we typically have done in the past, and I've probably been on a half dozen of them, is they're scheduled so 2 commissioners go at a time, and there's a window, we're going to be there for an hour, and then the next 2 commissioners come an hour early, because we can't have more than 2 as a meeting, right? So we block it, and then their people have a window of, say, 3 hours on a Saturday, when we do it, right? So that they just they know everything's done at one time, and it's not like completely kind of random. So just so you know, that's how it works, right? So, and that usually, those requests would usually come, through me, and it usually happens in a meeting. But if someone was to look at an application, even if it's after it comes to you, like it comes to you in the mail, you look at it, I really want to see this. Just send out an email saying, I request that I think we should do a walkthrough. Then we can start having a dialogue, everybody about it. And if it's a time sensitive thing, for whatever reason, then we can coordinate.
You have to give the applicant notice that you're going to be wanting to do a
Right,
sidewalk.
which
So they have the opportunity to be there.
But I think that was done, right?
Did that.
Did the notice, but it was for one commissioner.
Okay, well.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, just so we want to be able
You took it on Town Line or Gusky Pond?
Well, no, Gusky Pond, but Gusky, so let's talk about Town Line right now, because that was in front of us for an application. Right. So as far as Gusky's Ponds goes, that was just you as a citizen, right? That was you as a citizen concerned, and which is great. What do we want? We want citizens and people that take, an active role in what's going on in the town. But as far as Gusky Pond goes, because that was a permit that we had already given out, right? It falls under that permit. Us as a commission really don't have any business on it anymore, unless there was a violation. Unless something that we knew they were violating their permit, which we would never know, because it's a blanket permit, right? So the whole idea is that there's a difference between a concerned citizen and then an agent or a member of this commission, right? So some of the stuff is kind of like, crossing the line, or it's not really, maybe it's not clear. But just so we're clear going forward, especially about the walkthroughs on an application, it happens either in chambers or through communication with me. So there's a difference between what you're doing as a citizen and what you're doing as a member of the commission. All right, no problem with any of the stuff that you want to do. I'm not criticizing it. I think it's all good and appreciated. It's just that sometimes you involve the commission, sometimes you don't. And then there's a pathway to get things done. Any questions from anybody about this?
Just, there's protocols, that's all right, we just gotta follow.
Okay, so I followed our site visit protocols completely on both visits. Cheryl was aware. If you guys needed to be, or if anybody else wanted to go, that would have been great.
Let me just clear everyone. Gusky Pond Park, nothing to do. That's a town property. You're free to go there whenever you want to look at it. You're free to call James DeMayo anytime you want to talk about anything going on in town. There's no criticism, and we're not trying to say anything about that. If you're doing it as a commissioner of the Wetlands Commission, which it doesn't matter, it doesn't make any difference to anybody where it comes from. But if you're going to do it that way, then there's protocols to follow. You don't have to.
I tried to follow the protocols.
No, I'm saying, I appreciate that. But my point is that if you're saying you're doing it as a commissioner, there's protocols. If you're doing it as a concerned citizen, there's nothing.
So have at it however way you want to do it. That's all. And then and then the only thing about town line auto body, we're allowed to do walkthroughs. But there's just a process, which I just stated. But you didn't follow that process. But I didn't expect, you wouldn't have known it because you've never seen it before. I did follow the process. No, the process is, it's brought to the attention either during a meeting or through, as it's told the commission. The protocol is that we don't individually call and request walkthroughs. That's all. That's the only difference. At the last meeting in November, before it was over, I let Cheryl know, hey, I'm gonna want to do a walkthrough here, okay? Okay. Didn't come up. That's not. So that's how, okay, so saying, can you set it up, that was in the meeting? That was in the meeting. And you said, yes, I can set it up for you. I'll call him.
I don't remember, but I mean, well, that's.
I did in the meeting. So again, it would have slipped through, maybe it slipped through that, but the process works is that if a commissioner wants to have a walkthrough, then it gets scheduled, and usually when every single time, it's been, because it may not happen at night because we might not be able to get to the engineer. No problem. Right? It's an email that comes to me and everybody else, and we talk about scheduling a walkthrough and the times, and everybody chimes in about, I'm available this time and this day works for me, it doesn't. So we have to have a concerted effort, just so we're a team and we're doing it as a group.
Everyone understands.
If the commissioners had all made comments that they wanted to go, I would have coordinated something like that.
Right.
Since no one else asked me, that's why that happened.
Channels.
That's why that happened.
Right, just trying to tighten it up, that's all. Tighten up the loose end on it.
Yeah, he thought he did it right.
On one email, and then everyone can, they want to.
And we should, by the time we have a hearing, we're getting information, and we've also had information delivered us. So hopefully, at the time that we're having our first meeting on it, whether it's a determination or it's the actual public hearing or regular meeting, we should know at that meeting, whether we want to visit the site. And then we figure it out right then and there, and it's on the record and it's recorded and everything. So that's just, that's all. Just trying to get.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
No, I'm not done. I need to comment now. I'm going to be completely clear with you guys. With regard to Town Line Auto, I'm sorry if I stepped on a toe or didn't quite do it, but I tried to do the site visit protocol. With regard to Gusky Pond, I didn't have to do anything because Huntingtown Road and the pond, I did not contact any of these people, any of these residents in Monroe. Did not talk to them. They did not find this out from me. I was not acting in any way, but as a commissioner, I wanted to see what we were, I get what you're saying, but you have known me for a year and a half. Never in that year and a half have I done anything in a partisan way. I act in a nonpartisan way with the best interests of Monroe residents, taxpayers, and environment in mind. That's me. I don't appreciate the hasty rebuke because I did not question or challenge the permit. I was not acting alone, and I was clear in the email, informing all and saying, hey, reply all if there's, I'm sorry if but I was not trying to, hold on. I was not acting alone. I was not trying to do anything outside of the boundaries. I was just making, and as far as making a request to the town employee, I'm an engineer. I went out there and surveyed what I saw, the square footage, converted it to cubic feet, converted it to gallons, converted it to a flow per inch. Look, I also mentioned to James that it was a 3 foot, at least 3 foot, because he said 2 feet. I said, no, you got to realize what we're talking about here. It's this many gallons per inch. We really need to be careful. And he's like, you're right. I agree with your estimation. The estimates that you gave me are sound. They're in line, and I gave him the confidence to do what he's doing and to do it correctly. I have no problem with his and he needed to put in these sheet piles, 10 feet on one side and 10 feet on another with some controlling of a foot in between. It's totally appropriate. I'm not questioning the engineer. I'm just suggesting, and any engineer worth their salt wants a second engineer to look at something like this It's that important. It's millions of gallons we're talking. And as far as the, I get the whole situation. These people upland on that road, they put their houses in. I looked at when their houses went built. It was after we discovered beavers on that pond. We can't do anything to get rid of those beavers. I appreciate his concern about the environment, but we can't do anything except what we're doing. I have no problem with it, but the hasty rebuke that I got was, look, call me then, talk to me. But the public review, it's like, I'm not a kid.
It was
public to this commission.
No, well, but you emailed all of us. We're all on the email. Sorry,
But you could have replied to me.
Listen, the issue is that we have no control over what happens at Gusky Pond. We have nothing.
No, we do.
No, how do we? We gave a permit.
We give a permit if we feel that there's a violation, we can go back and have a violation.
Okay, so who's going to inspect the Public Works Department and report to us about a violation?
Anybody could call and say, anybody in public could say, hey, they're not following their permit.
And that goes to Public Works, that goes to Cheryl.
Cheryl brings it to our attention.
But we don't go look for it ourselves.
Well, but
as a commission.
As a concerned citizen, if he happens to be over there and sees it, he has every right
to bring it to
he has every right to bring it to our attention. So
no, he brings it to the town's attention.
Well, okay, yes, you're right.
The town's attention, which is completely okay. I have no problem. The whole thing is that it's all about a little bit of language that made the difference. It was just a little bit of language. That's what all it was. And that's what it was, is that we can't go back on a permit and start questioning things. We already gave the permit. Like you said, unless a violation happens.
And
right?
somebody brings us the violation.
Brings us the violation to us, which usually happens through Cheryl at the town level. So everything that happens, we can't be owning the permits. We can't be responsible for the permit we give out after we give them. We get a decision, the town came in, applied for their permit, we gave them the permit, they go to do their thing. Now, again, all the stuff that you did is wonderful. I like doing the same thing that you do as well. But it's a matter of what venue you're going to, so the thing is that you bring it directly in the future. And I could feel that this is something you to have a passion for. So you're going to want to do it again and again. But just so you understand, it's directly to James.
Remember is that we're like judges, okay? And it's good to be passionate about a project. But if you go and you see something and you make a big deal out of it, that's fine, but then you should recuse yourself on the vote because you've already shown people that you have a prior conceived notion on where it should go. So, it would be my opinion is if it's something personal, you just step aside and let the commission do their thing because if you are openly negative about an application throughout the process and you vote against it, it opens the town to liability, it opens the applicant and I'm not saying you have been, but I'm just saying for everybody, that's really what you got to be careful of.
Were you here for that when we gave the town the permit? For what? For their open public permit? Okay, so again, a couple of things you're not seeing because you weren't here. So I understand. I appreciate that you don't have all the information that I have or we have because you weren't here. The whole thing is that, again, just you got to be able to delineate between doing something as a member of the commission and doing something as a public person. It doesn't change the action. It just changes what channels you take to do it.
I'll be honest, I didn't even read the emails. I got one into it. I'm like, I'm not reading all this stuff.
Right.
I appreciate what you just said. I just want to be clear. If I had gone to Gusky Pond and disagreed or had a real problem with what we were doing, then what should I have done?
Town engineer.
No, you reported
James DeMayo directly. They're the ones that have
and then recuse myself.
No, there's no application. There's nothing to recuse from.
Yeah.
So you must have been talking in general of something else.
No, I'm talking
because Gusky Pond is not in front of us.
No, but if he saw some major violation, let's say they just drove the excavator out into the middle of the pond just because they
without a permit.
And
they're coming
and he's upset about it and talks to James and James says, oh, you're right. And he gives it to her and she brings us and says, we got a violation. That's when he might say, listen, I noticed this. I got a problem.
Yeah, but the thing, if he just notices it and calls town and says, you might want to look into this, I don't think you got to recuse yourself at that stage.
Exactly.
But if you're going after, not that you are, but if you're going after people and demanding and all that stuff, then
I understand. In that case, I would like to be able to talk directly to you and say, hey, I don't know what this is, so, can you give me some advice? Directly.
Right,
I don't want to have to go through,
you should be able to.
that would have been the best case scenario if you had done that.
If you guys had gotten into this thing, the last time they did it in 2020, it was a mess. Ed Risco's out there, the animal control officer's out there with a chainsaw and deep boots, saw, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
As a commission, we need to have a violation in front of us to do anything about it.
Okay, I get that.
Right. So it's all a
My
matter
other
of.
thing is, I understand, and I would like to be able to talk to you directly.
Absolutely.
But on the other side, I didn't appreciate your response less than an hour later of, hey, bam.
Well, you know what, here was the reason why. It was some of the language. I'm gonna get off. So it almost sounded to me, and I get, people can interpret things differently.
This seems like it's a personal interaction. Can we motion to?
I know, I think.
Well, no, it's kind of.
I think we all agree, let's have some good communication.
Right.
Really.
But what it sounded like to me was that you were directing the town engineer to work for you on this Dusky Pond, not for you, for us. I'll say for us.
It sounded like this to you. Well, then call me.
On the table.
So I didn't remember when I helped you find your phone the other day. I didn't have a phone to call you on, but you had opened up a dialogue. You basically, when you're making a record, okay, and the point was is that it sounded to me like you had asked James to do something for us on the government. But it wasn't part of our business. So I don't know how that works out.
I'm telling you, we're walking away, and I don't feel like a valued volunteer at all.
What, did you not hear what we all said?
Like, I feel like.
Yeah, I said it. I said, what you're doing is great. It's appreciated. It just has to be done properly. It doesn't involve the commission if the commission shouldn't be involved. That's all it is. I've had to clean up a couple messes. I try to keep them from happening before they happen.
That's what I was trying to do.
Right.
I just wanted to give you a little warning that this was going to happen. And everything that they said is true. And I'm glad I have no problem with the outlay, and neither did James. James appreciated my call. He said, thank you so much. I appreciate that you took the time to do this. The only person that didn't appreciate me was the chairman.
No, you're not. You're putting words in my mouth and you're misunderstanding.
You should know
I'm not that I'm not appreciating.
During the meeting.
It's not yet. No, not
all on the record.
This is business stuff. This is about the business of the commission.
It's gonna be on business.
It's what?
It's gonna be on business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn. We have a second. Motion from Commissioner Lynch, a second from Commissioner Stewart. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is closed at, I don't know what time it is because I lost my phone.